it back to Iguodala. Iguodala puts it up. It's gone.
You were on this. I see a bunch of people. It's like Iguodala is going to make the Hall of Fame. That seems to be the thing people now. So I have a variety of questions about that. Okay, you were talking with House about like who is sort of the comparison. I mean, okay, isn't Ron Harper sort of the obvious comparison with him? Somebody who had two careers and ended up the second part of his career kind of being like a key kind of glue guy for a championship team. I don't think Ron Harper is going to make the NBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but the thing, he's better than Ron Harper, though. I think the second version of Ron Harper.
At his best? When Ron Harper was at his peak early in his career,
no,
I don't know if Iguodala was ever that good.
I'm saying the second act. His second act, he's just a better and more impactful basketball player, I think, than Ron Harper was.
Yeah, I'm not trying to attack the guy. He's a good player and all that, very good player. But I just wonder if anyone will be saying he's going to make the Hall of Fame if he has 3 bad games in the remainder of this finals. I feel like that will just be taken off the board because it just keeps happening that we just say these things and then 2 days later, no one ever says it again.
I actually think he will make the Hall of Fame. And it says more about the Hall of Fame than it says about him. It's that they're just, if you're putting 6, 7 people in every year, regardless of whether you have 6 or 7 candidates, then.
Well, so then all the Warriors are going to make it then. Because obviously Curry and Durant obviously are. Clay would have to then. Is Green going to make it? So there's going to be 5 guys from this team in the Hall of Fame. There's not 5 Celtics on the Hall of Fame from those 8 teams.
No, there's a lot
Ainge
of Celtics.
Didn't make the Hall of Fame. Yeah, but Ainge didn't make the Hall of Fame.
Ainge shouldn't make it. I think that would be the cutoff. Ainge was never like even a top 3 guy on his own team. But I think
when was Iguodala a top 3 guy on his own team outside of the Sixers? But I'm saying if that had just been his career, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
Well, but I mean, Antoine Jameson's going to make the Hall of Fame. That's going to happen. It's crazy. I know. It's nuts. This is where we're heading.
I don't know if that will happen.
He scored 20,000 points. He's going to make it. Mitch Richmond made it.
I know, but
what did Mitch Richmond do?
But here's the deal with Mitch Richmond. Before he made the Hall of Fame, people talked for a long time about how he's one of the best guys who didn't make the Hall of Fame. And then as soon as he did, everyone's like, he's terrible. Making the Hall of Fame was the worst thing that happened to Mitch Richmond.
I think he's probably happy with it.
Prior to that, well, I'm sure he's pleased with it. But I'm saying from a dude's talking about basketball perspective, it really hurt him.
Like you mentioned Draymond Green. I actually do think he'll end up, if assuming his career doesn't just completely tail off, like he will end up making it someday because he's been kind of the epicenter of this Warriors half-decade run that you just said. If they win the title this year, this is probably the second best team of all time. And he's been the engine that, has always been there, the defensive force, and really a special all-around guy who doesn't really have any offensive above average skills other than he can go to the basket. Doesn't have a post-up move. Isn't somebody you ever would have thought would be like a top 3 guy on a team that would win 4 titles in 5 years. But, I think.
Yeah, these are all reasons to be like, remember Iggy? He was pretty good. That's like, I don't buy this argument that if you had swapped him out for 25 other guys, of a similar stature,
you're going nuts.
That the Warriors would. So you're saying without Iguodala, the Warriors would not be in a position to win 4 out of 5 titles.
No.
You change him, somebody, they win 2 out of 5. I don't buy that.
If you just put some typical decent swingman in that spot, I do not think they win 4 out of 5. I think he does a lot of stuff for them.
Which year do they lose?
Probably 15.
Maybe this year, unless the guy who they replaced him with is a healthier version of him.
I
can't think of any.
15 definitely. Maybe not one of the 17, 18s, because remember, he guarded LeBron for 4 straight years in the finals. And I also think he's an overqualified talent for the role that he's in right now, is the other thing. I think to win year after year after year like this, you have to have at least one guy who's sacrificing something pretty substantial. And usually you have 2. And I think the 2 guys that have really sacrificed, who could have been in better situations and gotten better stats other places, were him and Clay. Hey, and we saw once Durant went out, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Clay's good. Like Clay's been good this whole time. He's just the fourth option on one of the best teams ever." And I think with Iggy, he could have stayed in Denver and probably scored 17 to 18 a game for the next couple years and been a
sure
borderline all-star.
Level player he is, which is an argument against him making the Hall of Fame.
Well, do you think Robert Horry should be in?
That he would be if Iguodala would get in, absolutely, but I wouldn't put either of them in the Hall of Fame. They're like sort of classic guys who remember about the NBA playoffs, which is different than the NBA season. But the Hall of Fame should be kind of a separate thing. I mean,
See, I would have Horry in there.
Also, tell me this. If Iguodala misses that three he takes, and the Raptors get a rebound, call timeout, move it to half court, and Kawhi gets a good shot off, does anybody who has said he's going to make the Hall of Fame say that this week? No one does. It's because of one shot in one game, which reminds people that he's like, oh, he's a good guy who was a key member of this, there's a huge shot or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm attacking this person who I generally like and think he's a good player, but he's not a Hall of Fame player. That seems real weird to me. Weren't you just saying that he hasn't averaged 10 points a game for the last 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I said a couple weeks ago on the pod that I thought he was going to make the Hall of Fame before he made the shot. Here's the thing. When he was taking that shot, I thought it was going in. And I think that says something because there's always this debate about clutch. How do you measure clutch? We don't have stats for it. It's made up. The math says clutch is overrated, all that stuff. But all I know is in the last 5 minutes of a game like that, when they're down 1-0, they have to win. Clay goes out. There's no way Steve Kerr wasn't like delighted to have Iguodala out there. Like if anything, you would say like, there's just not a long list of dudes I would have wanted out there. And you could also argue like veteran. If he was on the Rockets the last two series, if you just flipped him with whoever on the Rockets, it could have swung the series. So I don't know. I like guys like that. I think Horry should be in the Hall of Fame. When I did my basketball book, I had the Hall of Fame pyramid. And I had Horry like, I don't know, 84 or something like that. Because I think the ability to kind of fade in the background, but then rise to the occasion in big moments on big stages is a talent. And it's not a talent we can measure with stats. And there's been very few guys like
by
that.
The fact that you have to have the opportunity to be on the stage. There's a lot of guys we'll never know. Like, for all we know, Reggie Theus would have been great in the clutch.
No, he would have sucked.
He was ever in the situation where
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah,
but you look at, all right, take a look at my beloved Boston Celtics. The main reason the team struggled this year is we had Horford, who's an Iguodala type guy, but the team actually needed an Iguodala type guy who was like, dude, I don't care about my stats. Just tell me who to guard. When we have a big game, I'll step up. I don't care how many minutes I play. I'm going to be there till the bitter end for you guys. And instead, it was everybody like jockeying. I thought that quote he had about Curry. Did you see that quote he said? I couldn't believe it. That quote about Steph's legacy mattered to him, basically. He was like, look, we're all in pain right now, but I really want this for Steph. I really want him to have this. I think it's important. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you can put a price on having somebody who's really good, who's sacrificed something, who's also an incredible teammate. I think if you're going to win multiple titles, you have to have people like that. So that would be my case for him.
It seems like to me that's the award you get like the NBA Man of the Year for and stuff like that. That's a different thing.
That would be a good, like, if you talk about awards, there should be an award for somebody like him because it's the type of guy who always ends up. I think Derek Fisher was like this. Derek Fisher is not going to make the Hall of Fame, but was weirdly valuable over and over again during that Kobe and then Kobe Shaq and then the Kobe run. Like in the 2009 finals, he made the biggest shot of that entire finals, and at a moment when it seemed like the series was going to flip. So I don't know. I like this shot
he made that shot against the Spurs too. That if he misses, that the Spurs probably beat the Lakers in that series. So, but I don't know why you wouldn't argue he should make the Hall of Fame. Then. I mean, it would be. I feel like the criteria would be almost identical.
Well, I think the thing with Iggy is that he's had a 2-act career, and the first act was good. I mean, he was like the best guy on playoff teams, but then has had this second act as just somebody that has been integral to the success of a really great team. So I will say I do love this about basketball, and I think as the numbers have kind of taken over this decade a little bit, and the math and the advanced metrics, and I like a lot of it, but I do think it's awesome that it's impossible to evaluate guys like Iguodala correctly.